All right, family, are we rolling? I guess so. I got my super high-tech, fancy, state-of-the-art equipment studio set up here. I wish I could show it to you, but I'm not sure I'd be able to put it back together again. It's a compost bucket, and then my phone is sitting on top of the lid, and there's a rock behind it holding it up. So if it's not quite right, well, bear with me. So today's rant, I want to give a little preface to this by indicating that, from a very young age, I didn't really get into so much of the stuff that was shoved in my face and so readily available on a constant basis, like television programming, Hollywood movies, and pop culture, and magazines, and soap operas, and whatever the fad of the day was. But rather, I just sought to learn as much as I could. And one of the ways that I did that was by going into the library and reading all kinds of stuff, basically for free, right? Super cool. But then, as I got older and I got a job and I was able to pay the rent, I had a little bit money left over, I would subscribe to certain things. And, okay, don't laugh. So some of the stuff I used to subscribe to would be like the Council on Foreign Affairs publications, all manner of that. The Economist magazine, the London Financial Times. I mean, I could go on, right? But I don't want to bore you. So, that was one of my fields of interest, was economic, world finance and trade, and geopolitics, and just boring stuff like that. So bear with me. I'll try to make this as exciting as possible, right? I won't bore you to death with these kinds of topics. Okay, so we'll just go back a little bit in time here. I want to say January 1988. Somebody help me do the math on Caesar's calendar. I gotta get my fingers out to count for this just to make sure I get it right. So from 88 to 98 is 10 years, right? 2008, 2018, and this is 2024 on Caesar's calendar, fake time, right? So then I would add 6 to that, so 36 years ago, or 36 years ago in January, this issue that I'm referring to. Which told of an agenda, right? It's always soft disclosure, right? That would commence 33 years later. What's up with those numbers, right? We can use them too if we want to. Anyhow, you don't even have to read the article. Look, I'm not going to ask you to read, and The Economist is very light reading when it comes to things. It's not a prospectus, it's not market analysis, you're not looking at trends and history and stuff. You're just listening to somebody run their mouth, right? It's pretty easy to read. But you don't even have to read it. Like, you just look at the cover of the magazine and it'll show you, it'll depict to you what is the agenda of the central banks. By way of, I tried to disclose this a little over 4 years ago in my very heavily erased series called The Corona Game. But anyhow, see if I can figure out a way to not catch the attention of the fact checkers. So anyhow, well, bottom line, I'm just going to spit this out. So the twist of this plot that was disclosed in January 1988 was complete wholesale destruction of all the world's currencies, to include the basket currencies. and oh gosh, I think I talked about this in another video. What is a basket currency? Basically, it's a bunch of worthless debt-based fiat currencies with central banks that have zero value, zero worth, right? But if they put them in a basket with a bunch of other worthless currencies, then somehow they have value. Cheers to that. So, basket currencies, real quick refresher here. Pretty much since World War II, were the yen, the won, the dollar, and the pound. And then at the turn of the 21st century, we had this new currency called the euro, which in and of itself is a basket currencies of all the other currencies of the member EU, whatever, euro, people that sign on for this ridiculous global currency, regional currency, whatever it is. I don't have a problem with it in theory. I'm just saying if it's given to us by the central banks, pretty much anything they goes is going to be shit. So I digress. That was the basket currencies all the way up to World War II, and then the euro was added. In it started in the year that I mentioned in my video that got erased, and so the basket currencies were rearranged, because that's what you always have to do, like with everything, right? Like if it's the truth, I need to rearrange it and revise it and edit it and publish it and then redact that publication and replace it with another one and give it a revision and another edition. And oh, by the way, give me $500 for another textbook at your university. Or there's the real truths, right? Which are seen, they're observable, they're measurable, and they're repeatable across the field, in and outside of a controlled environment. They're again and again repeated. This is what for now, would be that something that's the truth and not, don't need to publish anything. But anyway, so the US dollar was removed from the basket currencies. It had been traditionally part of the basket currency for many decades. It was removed in January of last year, 2023. And so commencing, right? And the destruction of this currency that we used to, consider as, how much is this worth? It's like the Bitcoin. Don't get me started on that. No, I did another video on that. I'm not pitching Bitcoin. I never will, and I never have, and couldn't possibly. But like, if your Bitcoin's worth $35,000, really? Or 35,000, whatever, fill in the blank currency, right? Well, that's all well and good. But what is this thing we call currency? They're all debt-based fiat currencies. So to keep the sinking ship afloat for a little while longer, they removed the dollar and to isolate the United States, because they're going to commence. They don't have a regional currency. They want the regional currency between the United States and Mexico to be established, like the euro, basically, right? When I say they, I'm talking about the people who are mind controlled by off-world intelligence, off-world entities that, I don't want to point fingers and make judgments and call names and say this is good or this is bad, but rather they're just there. And it's up to us whether we choose to listen to them. It's up to us whether we choose to govern our own mind and make our own decisions using a moral compass that we find within, as opposed to, bowing down at the altar of the so-called authority and worshiping at the, at the altar of a false god. So, January 88, Economist Magazine. Don't even have to read the article. The picture is worth 1,000 words. Have a look. I won't even go along just for the sake of brevity of this video, because I'm already at 10 minutes. I won't go along the timeline because it could be a 3-hour. I could give you incident after instance after instance after instance between 1988 and today. What is this, 2002 for? Of very, what you would call modern day, very recent examples, like extremely recent history. This is less than a couple of, wait, this is less than a few decades. So anyway, but let's just say I'm just going to point you at that, right? And maybe you don't need to have all those blanks filled in between. Maybe you don't need to have that timelines. This happened on this date and this happened on that date. But rather what you can do is just take a simple before and after picture. To see the fruits that the tree has borne. And to see what's going on, right? So I think we can all kind of relate in this regard, but I'll just break down one more example using just one more thread, the same thread, literally another magazine. I didn't read that one so much because it was like, I don't know, it just felt like a bunch of people tooting their own horns and stuff like that. But anyway, it was used to be called a Fortune 500. So this means to say that within the United States economy, the strongest economy in the world by far, that there are only 500 companies that make this cut, that earn this much profits per year. Now, if you think about the numbers of the people living in the States, I mean, numbers of people between the ages of, say, 18 and 64, let's say, hypothetically, the working age. If you take those numbers out of the census data at that time, you would find that these companies, Fortune 500, excuse me, if there's a potential at that time for roughly, and this is a very conservative estimate, 150 million people in the workforce. And out of those 150 million, let's just take another extremely conservative estimate and say only 10% of those. So now we're talking 15 million. Could be the sort of businessman, businesswoman, entrepreneur type, whatever, that starts up the business, that has the company, right? Or that created the company. So if there's like 15,000, I don't even know if I can do this math. I'm gonna see if I can do this math in my head. You're saying that like less than one, I want to say roughly 1 in 1,500 makes this cut in the world's largest economy. So like 1 in 1,500. And the rest of them are just, so they don't earn enough money to be considered the Fortune 500. Well, so let's fast forward to 2002. I don't know what year. Perhaps this was actually the same year that they removed the dollar from the basket currencies, but I believe it could have been, yes. But it was something that I only came across recently, and that magazine that I used to read occasionally, called the Fortune 500, is now called the Fortune 100. Let that sink in. It's 5 times less than 1 in 1,500. I don't even know what that is, like one. I don't even know what the math is. I'm just saying, look. take a look at the picture. It's gone from 500 companies that are making this mark, this level, right, of profit, down to 100. And it's done so within, as far as I can see, within a couple of years. Now, having said that, I happen to be right now in a country, beautiful Mexico, one of the most beautiful places you'll ever want to see. But down here, what we have is the Fortune 3. Now, Mexico's economy is not as big as the United States economy, but it's definitely up there. I mean, those two used to be, like, between the two of them, right? There's a lot of stuff going on in the economy down here in Mexico. But there's only 3 companies that owns all of it. And I'm going to just leave that with you, like, let that sink in. And then I came across this meme the other day. If I can find it somehow, I'll share it. If I don't violate community standards or get in trouble for copyright laws. But I came across this meme the other day, and I'm going to just paraphrase, but it basically said, if a monkey hoarded all the bananas for himself, while all the other monkeys in the forest died of starvation, we would say that that's a psychotic monkey. That is suicidal behavior because you're exterminating, your fellow monkeys. Anyway, making the analogy between the human and the monkey being a social, animal and stuff like that. Depends on family and, long-term family commitments and relationships, that kind of social animal. Well, so this meme said, if a monkey did this with the bananas, hoarded all the bananas while the other ones starved, then yeah, that would be considered extremely abnormal, suicidal, whatever, fill in the blank. But if a human does it, then he gets put on the cover of Forbes magazine or the Fortune 500 or the Fortune 100 or whatever. There's a lot of truth in that, right? So now, of course, I don't like to just point out problems, because there are no problems per se. There are only solutions. And if I dare share some of them. I might do so. I'm going to ask you guys in the meantime to look into it for yourself if you're interested. Let's say, for instance, if you're interested in, instead of the Fortune 100 or 500 or 3, where like 3 guys own everything and everybody else has like barely scraping by. Well, it's just nature has all the solutions, right? Nature has all the answers to all the obstacles and the challenges and the problems that we face. So I would encourage you, family, to have a look into this for yourself. I'm going to give a big shout out, as I love to do on a regular basis. She's one of my favorite podcasters in the world, and if anybody can get in touch with her, I would love to do well, if she wants to, we can talk about more about this plant. It's called hemp, H-E-M-P. So imagine a Fortune 40,000 or a Fortune 50,000. And then all the other hundreds of thousands of cottage industries that come off of those top 40 or 50,000 Fortune most profitable companies. Without a threat to the existing communists. Did I say that out loud? I meant monopolies that are occupying those top 3, right? Or top 100, whatever it is. That with this plant, we can take your business and retool it. Not in the contemporary business strategy of what most would think about, like if you were dumb enough to go to like Harvard Business School or something like that. Did I say that out loud too? Boy, I'm on a rant. No offense, I'm just saying. If we were to adopt a different business, like a different perspective, then the business model follows. Like if we get in alignment with, instead of forcing nature to bend to our will, but rather working with nature and well, I'm just saying, we could very well have, hundreds of thousands of extremely profitable businesses, and we do. They're popping up all the time. I'm just giving them a shout out. So check out Belinda Carr. She's got a podcast and she talks about this subject a lot. Love her to death. Yeah, but look at the industries, right? And then here's the part where I have to put this in the short clip. If anybody knows how to do those shorts, and you could put it in another playlist. I don't know. I can tell you, but I have to kill you. Yes, indeed. It's true. If we if Mother Nature allows us to be with this plant that can create 40 or 50,000 Fortune 500 companies and all the other cottage industries, and literally provide everything that we need, all the items and goods and all the things that we're accustomed to in the market and the economy, it can retool the existing monopolistic hegemonies to operate in efficient, I don't want to say a more efficient manner, because that's a mild understatement, but like to take your efficiency level and increase it by 10,000%, thereby increasing your productivity and your profit margins by reducing your capital overlays and your capital investments and your business, operating expenses. So even for you guys that are afraid, even for you guys that are afraid that there's not enough, even for you guys who founded companies based in a mindset of scarcity and zero-sum win-lose, take it easy. Even you can take it easy and relax and let go, because even your business stay in business and you will increase your profits by 1,000%. I can guarantee, depending on the industry and the individual circumstances, but I'm just going to take a rough overall estimate. And all variables outside of that, climate and region and existing infrastructure and blah, blah, blah. But just a basic ballpark figure is that you can stay in business. You can increase your profits by 1,000% within a year. No downtime. What they teach you in Harvard Business School is that if you retool, you can expect a drop. So that's why the shareholders never want to retool or mess with anything, because that would represent in most cases, at least a year before you could begin to recover your profits and stuff, right? So, but like zero downtime. I won't say downtime. You might have some downtime while your factories are being retooled, but you can sell all these assets that you no longer need because we're working smarter now, not harder. And you can just, like, that right there will provide enough revenue to keep your company and your shareholders, but there's really no shareholders as far as I can see. It's all being run by AI now, but in theory, to keep the profits up below that AI algorithm that says, oh my God, I didn't make a continual, non-stop, never-ending profit, and therefore, boom, just, yeah, like that. No, you don't even have to do that. You don't even have to do that. Y'all can stay in business and increase your profits. But just, there's enough to go around. There's enough to go around. There's enough to go around. There's more than enough to go around. Just what's your perspective? So, just last little bit I'll disclose right here. So if this plant, let's say, in theory, hypothetically, could fuel, let's say, 98% of the existing goods and services and products in the consumer market, or the market writ large, commercial, including big businesses all the way down to the low, like, single individual, then it is self-evident that this raw material has value. And if it is self-evident that something has value, couldn't we then also use it as a currency? It's not subject to commodity, being tied to commodities that are controlled by others. It's not subject to inflation or hyperinflation or devaluation. Just saying. I'm going to leave that with you, family. And we'll catch up later. Ciao for now.